When we look at the ancient lunar calendar of the Earth, we see that it was based off of 12 months of 30 days, giving us a total of 360 days, opposed to the 365.25 day solar calendar we have today. Now, when we look at the current luni-solar calendar, which is different from the lunar calendar, it rotates from a 30-day month to 29-day month, giving us the correct 29.5-day orbit of the moon around the Earth. This calendar is used today by Jews, Chinese, Japanese, Vietnamese, Mongolians, Koreans, Buddhists, Hindus, Burmese, Bengalis, and Tibetans. The luni-solar calendar was used by the ancient Greeks, Caligni, which were Europeans, and Babylonians. However, to make the ancient calendar work, they added 5 additional days of festival at the end of their 360-day calendar. This calendar system was found all over the world prior to the luni-solar calendar system. The early Hebrews, the Romans, the Egyptians, the Mayans, the Chinese, and the Babylonians all had 360-day long calendars with 12 months of 30 days each. They used these calendars to follow the natural rhythm of the Earth, the moon, and the sun cycles. When we think of the term sexagesimal, the key word is sex. This implies the union between the natural male and female principles of the sun and the moon. We can see this in the ancient Chinese myth of Huyai and Changji, who represent the sun and the moon, the male and the female, or the yin and the yang. It is no coincidence that the number 6 and 9 fit together in their physical appearance, and that the word sex in sexagesimal represents 6. The sexagesimal system can also be found today in our methods of measuring angles, as we have 360 degrees in a circle. We use the sexagesimal system in our measurements of time, such as 60 seconds and 60 minutes. We also use the sexagesimal system to plot the Earth using latitude, longitude, and nautical miles, and also the celestial sphere using arc minutes and seconds. The following are quotes in regards to the 360-day lunar year. Plutarch, an ancient Greek historian, wrote, "During the reign of Romulus, they only kept to the one rule, that the whole course of the year contained 360 days." Plutarch once again quoted, "Hermes playing at draughts with the moon won from her the 70th part of each of her periods of illumination, and from all the winnings he composed 5 days and intercalcated them as an addition to the 360 days." The ancient Egyptians started a new year according to the heliacal rising of the star Sirius. However, according to Samuel Goudsmit, author of the book Time, they also kept a separate year made of 12 fixed 30-day months, later to make their lunar year jibe almost precisely with Sirius rising. They tacked 5 extra days onto the year. Goudsmit also said, to account for them, they created the myth of Nut, the sky goddess, who had been unfaithful to her husband, Re, the sun god. In retribution, Re decreed that she should bear a child in no month of no year. But Nut's lover, Thoth, played dice with the moon and won 5 days a year. Because these days were outside the calendar, Re's decree did not apply, and Nut's son was born on the first of them. In the Book of Calendars, edited by Frank Parise, he states in regards to the Egyptian calendar, this 360-day calendar, like so many others, was changed during the 8th century BC to one of 365 days. The extra 5 days was simply added to the end of the year. The Egyptian calendar was the first solar calendar and contained 365 days. These were divided into 12 30-day months and 5 days of festival. The same book states as regards in the Chinese circle, the number of degrees does not add up to 360 because in the 4th century BC, the Chinese astrologers suddenly changed the division of the circle from 360 degrees to 365 degrees. Now, some people claim that the reason for this sudden change is that the Earth shifted from a 360-day solar year to a 365-day solar year, and that the Earth's rotation physically sped up. Currently, I'm not concerned whether or not that is true. I wish to look at the esoteric significance of this calendar and some of the mysteries it may reveal to us. Fritz Zimmermann, in his book The Nephilim Chronicles, writes that the Native American mounds of North America have special measurements of circumference. He claims that he found over and over again that the circular mounds measured circumferences of 1,080 feet, representing the female aspect, while the square mounds measured either 666 feet or 660 feet, representing the male aspect. There are multiple things which are amazing in regards to this find. The first is that we find they were using a modern unit which we still use to this day. The second is clearly the esoteric features of these two sets of numbers. 1080 remains part of the sexagesimal system, being 360 multiplied by 3. 1080 also happens to be the measurement of our moon's radius in miles. Now, if you're thinking this is a coincidence, think again. We will soon learn that to no longer believe in such things. When we measure the Earth in nautical miles, we find that from north to south pole we have a measurement of 10,800, which is 360 multiplied by 30, still within the sexagesimal system. It appears that ancients created the different units in order to reach this magical feminine number of 1080 for both the Earth and the Moon, creating the units we use to this day. When we analyze the number 666, the first thing that comes to mind is the biblical number of the beast. To quote Revelation, "Here is wisdom. Let him who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of man. His number is 666. Now, this does not make much sense until it is applied correctly. First, I would like to point out that this biblical quote refers to the number 666 as the number of a man, giving it the title of the male principle. But why? In ancient times, people would wear around their necks something known as a magic square. There were different types of magic squares which would represent different heavenly bodies. The magic square for the sun we find is made up of a 6 by 6 square, 36 independent squares within, numbered 1 through 36, in such a way which in every row, column, and diagonal will add up to 111 each. When all the numbers are added together, we get the sum total of 666. The square, once again, is a masculine representation, and thus we have our answer to why the number 666 equals the male principle. But not so fast. There's something more here. If we look beyond magic squares and to the planet Mars, we find that this number pops up again. When Mars is observed according to its own 24-hour, 39-minute, 35-second day, its year equals 668.6 days. It is quite peculiar how close this year equates to the masculine number of 666, and we must not forget that Mars represents the male and even carries the symbol to this day. So you may ask, what am I getting at here? Sure, this year is close to 666, but it's not perfect. This is where the understanding of Earth's ancient lunar calendar comes into play. Even though the Earth was not a perfect 360 days, they used that number anyways. Mars' moon, Phobos, phases as they can be observed from Mars takes 0.3191 days, which equals 33 orbits over roughly 10.5 days. If we round this to 11, we may have on our hands the Martian week. Now, to make a lunar calendar for Mars, we would have to use the 11-day week and find that there would be 60 weeks, giving the nice round number of 660 days. We are only 9 days short of a full year, no different than how the ancients were, short days on their ancient lunar calendars. So were the Martians, possibly adding 6 or 9 days to the holidays, and ultimately keeping the orders of the universe. Here we have an explanation of the measurements of both 660 feet and 666 feet. Now, some of you may be saying that there are no aliens on Mars. The answer to that statement is that there are no aliens on Mars today. But what about in the past? And did they come here when their planet died? From the numbers above, we can certainly see a pattern of repeating digits, and we see this same pattern found in esoteric mathematics to this day. The Bible and the Book of Enoch both refer to a race known as the Nephilim. It is stated that the Nephilim were the products of mating between the females of earth and the sons of God, who descended from the heavens. In other words, they were human-alien hybrids which created a race of giants. We can find myths of giants from all around the world. We see giantism in hybrids to this day, for example the liger, which is a cross species between a lion and a tiger, making the largest sized cat in the world. This theory begins to explain much of our written history which did not make sense before, and is perhaps why science and religion are pinned against one another in such a polarized fashion. Instead of fighting each other, they should be combining the two in order to find the truth.